Join us as we search Alaska and beyond for mysterious creatures, featuring Beans Baxter and Rob Roy Menzies. This is the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. Greetings all and welcome to the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. Once again, I wanted to thank all my regular viewers, Jomo and the kids, and everyone who's tuning in to their Sunday morning Chuke Bigfoot goodness. Special thanks to Gary. He sent me this Sasquatch walking stick. Wood burn Chuke in there. He's got some pictures of Sasquatch in there. Really nicely done. I will be bringing this on some of my adventures seeking Bigfoot, but I wanted to talk about one of the keys to understanding Bigfoot and even finding Bigfoot, I think, is understanding the origins of Bigfoot. And this is not particularly where a lot of people go at an angle they would take, but I think it's important because I'm starting to delve into these way off the woo-ha stuff. Now, I do, in some areas, I do think Bigfoot is nothing but a huge ape man, flesh and blood. It's just living out there in the forests and the mountains. And that's pretty much what Beans and Rob Roy Menzies think, I believe, just talking to them and the conversations we've had around the campfire, is they think that they're living animals and they're out there. And I believe that too, but in some cases, especially in certain areas, there's just something more than meets the eye. There's something bizarre going on. I can't explain what it is, but I do have a few theories. Some of them intersect, some of them are different. One theory, of course, is the Nephilim theory. And, it goes back to biblical times, the Book of Enoch, that kind of thing, where it talks about the angels coming down, sons of God coming down, having relations with women and creating these giants that have certain abilities. Now, Bigfoot certainly could be called a giant. I mean, we've got reports of up 11, 12 feet tall, hairy men, very human-like at times, just living out there. And we do have some examples and reports of them having these kind of super abilities, whether it's stunning people, and Rob Roy has talked about this, stunning people with just its loud voice, the sound reverberations kind of echoing in people's chest and just stunning them. We also have reports in some instances of Bigfoot possibly using some kind of electric shock or telepathic power to just literally stun people and freeze people. We do have reports of a predator-like cloaking system where you're just seeing shimmering. People are describing that. And then we have the reports of Bigfoot simply fading out of existence. It looks like, we got footprints stopping and people seeing Bigfoot kind of disappear. So a lot of strange stuff, and these kind of abilities would be in line with that story of the Nephilim. Then we have kind of related to that, but coming from another angle, is the whole story of the planet Nibiru, and then the ancient Mesopotamians, and of course, Anunnaki, which is really fascinating. They're related to that biblical story, but from the Mesopotamian side of the Anunnaki coming down, and of course there was another race, and their descendants, being these Nephilim type creatures, and then that brings in the whole spaceman UFO connection, UAP connection when you're talking about Anunnaki, because that's sort of an ancient astronaut theory as well. But it does make sense. A lot of people have theories that these entities, extraterrestrials, came down and were just kind of experimenting on apes and created humans. And it is very strange how in the fossil record, like there's just apes and ape men, and then, instantly humans are here. And then how quickly we've advanced with technology, especially the last 300 years. It's just really interesting, and it's just really odd. You have these stories, and then we've got these Bigfoot sightings, on the outskirts of civilization, especially up here. And you can talk about Alaska, it's just real bizarre. And it makes me think that there is some military knowledge or governmental knowledge of these creatures, especially when you go to Western Alaska. There's these abandoned bases out there. The Army used to have a huge presence, National Guard, all that. But after World War II, it wasn't needed with aviation and that kind of thing, the advances we have with our Air Force. And so you've got these huge installations that are abandoned. But back in the day, there was a heavy military presence, and there's also a very high population of Bigfoot sighted in Western Alaska. You got the stories of Gabriel Fox, this boy that went out, got lost, turned into a Bigfoot, and then the military supposedly captured him, has been studying him. Really odd, stories like that in the Delta Discovery. And then, my buddy Patrick telling me these stories of all the sightings in Western Alaska, the Delta Discovery, talking about Bigfoot getting shot, Bigfoot chasing hunters, Bigfoot ripping a dog in half, and then the military knowing about it and people not wanting to talk about it, whether it's they're being threatened or just told nobody will believe you, but that for some reason they don't like talking about it. And because he's married into the community, Patrick won't even be interviewed because there's a big taboo. People don't want to be seen talking about it. So it's very strange. I think there is some kind of government involvement in there, and it's just this bizarre web of all these connections. And then another weird theory I have is the theory of Louis L'Amour. He wrote all these Westerns, and then right before he dies, he writes this bizarre book called The Haunted Mesa. It was the last book that he wrote. I believe it was still in the 90s while he was alive. Early 90s, maybe late 80s more like. But I always liked it because the main character goes through Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's where I used to live. And he talks about these kivas and, some of the cultures of the Southwest, the indigenous tribes, would go into had these kivas that you could go through and you'd be in another world, which was a rainforest world, just completely cloudy, huge forested, trees everywhere, and there was these giant hairy ape men. And so Louis L'Amour goes from, cowboy shoot 'em up stories to sudden this bizarre story of this other world with giant hairy Sasquatch-like creatures. And I think he was trying to tell us something really about an alternate dimension where the Sasquatch are able to come to and fro. And that would really align with some of these sightings where the Sasquatch is seen just kind of disappearing into nothing. And a lot of people have theories about the interdimensional aspect of Bigfoot. Shout out to Jomo. He loves hearing about the interdimensional aspect. I do think in some cases that is going on. And I really think Louis L'Amour was trying to tell us that with that book, The Haunted Mesa. Check that book out if you haven't seen it already. So how can this help? Well, if you know that the Sasquatch in a certain area may be coming from this certain beginning, whether it's Anunnaki, whether it's some Southwest legend that's, otherworldly, traveling in between dimensions, you can prepare for that. You can bring certain equipment, protections that are going to help you on that expedition. And that's what I like to do. I got my silver bullets and that kind of thing. So, and, you can link the UFO hotspots. Sometimes it coincides with the Bigfoot hotspots. So it can help a researcher if you start bringing these pieces together. And that's what I've been trying to do. And I may be wrong. I know in some areas, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's a flesh and blood ape-like creature, and in some areas I think it's more in tune to the local tribe because they have the most knowledge and legends of it. But in some areas, absolutely, especially when you're getting around to the other side of the world, anywhere near Turkey or the Middle East and Asia, where they have these huge Sasquatch-like creatures sighted, that's going to be closer to where the Anunnaki were and that kind of thing. So in those cases, I think that would be descendants of Nephilim and the Anunnaki. But just really interesting. I think it's fascinating. So let me know what you guys think. If you are going to be in the Anchorage area, you might want to stop by the Anchorage Museum for Trail Tales on, I believe it is for any Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. There might be some Bigfoot researchers that you will recognize. So check that out if you're in the area, and keep on keeping your eyes peeled and tuning in, and just email me with any hints you might have. Check out Beans Baxter, Sasquatch podcast, and Rob Roy Menzies. Check out the Bigfoot Art Gallery on Facebook, and we will keep the videos coming. Thanks, guys.